tell me a little bit more, Samia, about that self-discovery process. How do you go through that self-discovery process with your clients? What does that process look like? What are the kind of, let's just say, frameworks that you guys are using, or the kind of questions that you pose?
Mm-hmm.
Just so that I think, from an audience perspective,
Mm-hmm.
we can have a better understanding of, okay, what exactly do I have to do if I'm on that journey of self-discovery and awakening?
Mm-hmm. Sure, sure. So we look at it, of course, you can't separate life from work. So it's a holistic, overall, well-rounded experience.
Absolutely,
But again,
100%.
the
Yeah.
focus is, yeah, the lens through which we look at is more work-related, right? So
Hmm.
let's say you can call it finding your why, or finding
Yeah.
a kind of career that is like in line with who you are. And all the factors that we look at, again, the way it's done is either through one-to-one coaching, which is most of the time, or through workshops, online master
Right.
classes, workshops, in person, whatever. So let's say if it's a one-to-one session, we would be working with that person over 8 to 10 to 12 sessions, depending on
Hmm.
how much time it takes, to really work with them through the self-discovery process, where we will be looking at what is their criteria when it comes to work. So what are the
Okay.
factors that are important to them,
Okay.
their motivation, their passions, and I'll walk you through how, like, just a couple of
Yes,
examples of
please.
how we do it. But just the things, the things would be passion, strengths, values, motivations, fears, limiting beliefs, mental blocks, the things that are holding them back. And from there, all that self-exploration will then, let's say you diverge and then you converge, right? So it will then
Right.
culminate into your personal ethos, your personal brand, your career vision, your career, let's say, statement of, okay, these are my values, strengths, this is what I have to offer, this is what I want to do. And from there, they then choose 2 to 3, or depending how many, they want to choose, career paths that they want to pursue. So let's say some people
Mm.
are very clear that, okay, this is the path. Some people want to have 2 options just to see how to go about it. And then after that is more about the externalizing part of, like, okay, how do you package and present yourself? So how do you, where do you go from there? How do you land that job, or how do you launch that business that you want to launch? Personal branding, working on your entire,
Then it's the
communication,
execution
networking,
strategy,
interviews,
right?
the
Okay.
the execution the
Yeah.
execution so really crafting your message and then going out there and sharing that message with relevant stakeholders.
Right.
Now, coming back to the deep dive, the
Yeah.
internal awakening, so to speak. So given that I am certified in NLP
Yeah.
strengths, I use, let's say I'm a strengths based coach who uses a lot of strengths based techniques and tools to let people know of what their strengths are, how do they deliver what they do best, what is
Mm-hmm.
holding them back, what are the needs of their strengths, how it's let's say emotional intelligence deep dive. From that
Right.
space of strengths, we can cultivate not just the fact that how you so first you know your strengths, you know how to leverage your strengths, and anytime your strengths, just because you have certain strengths doesn't mean that you're always performing at an optimal level, right? So let's say
Right.
you're a great communicator, but you're not always going to be 10 on 10 on communication all the time, because if the needs of your strengths are not met, those
Mm-hmm.
strengths cannot perform in an optimal way. Let me give you
Right.
an example. Tell me any one strength of yours, any top strength.
Um, for me, I would say, does it have to be something cognitive or non-cognitive, or can it be any?
Any, but
Any.
ideally, oh, any, it's fine.
Any.
Yeah.
Okay. I think perseverance.
Perseverance. Okay.
It's not
Okay.
something tangible, but
So
it's something, yeah.
yeah, so if perseverance is your strength, you are gritty, you have resilience, you are tenacious, you have the ability to bounce back from setbacks. So you're all of that, right? This is what you
Mm-hmm.
contribute. So if you're put in any such situation, you will be able to do all of that. Now, here's let's say, the $1 million secret, or the secret sauce, whatever you want to call it. Whatever our strengths contribute or deliver is also what we need.
Hmm.
So if
Interesting.
you are a gritty person, you also need to be in situations where you can exercise this grit muscle of yours, where you can be resilient, right?
Interesting.
Let
Okay.
me give you another, let's say, simpler example. okay, so one of my strengths is achiever. So achiever is someone who has this achiever mindset, goal driven, result oriented, breaking projects down into milestones, being able to achieve them, very focused. So this
Yeah.
is what I deliver, right? For me to be able to deliver all of this, I also need the same. So I
Mm,
need goals, I need milestones, I need results, I need to be focused. I need it internally and I need it externally, because
got it.
sometimes my balance is off, I'm not able to perform. So internally, I'm not in a place to perform in that way. Externally, if let's say you're working on a project with people and your number one strength is achiever, but the other person's top strength is empathy. You come
Mm.
into a meeting, you're asking about, hey, John, we talked about last week this project, and I was supposed to do tuck, tuck, tuck. This is my stuff. You were supposed to do tuck, tuck. What have you done? And he's like, man, where's my coffee? You know, he
Yeah,
wants to build
get
relationship.
exactly. He's
You
like,
know,
where's the
so
small talk?
people for sure, small talk, or not just that, listening, understanding, being empathetic, relationship building. He is always going to come from that place. Again, we are
Absolutely.
oversimplifying and we're just assuming these people have only these two strengths. You have a
Yeah.
lot more than that. But let's say whatever your top strengths are, that's the lens you wear with which you view the world. So if
Mm.
you are an achiever kind of a person, or if you look, for instance, you are a person who is big on resilience and
Yep.
perseverance, right? So people who are not resilient or not as resilient as you are, or let's say they get too worked up on little things, you will tend to judge them. It's natural,
Mm.
because you are you have all these strengths and you're so good at it. So people who are not that great at it, you will find it difficult to connect with them, to relate to them, because it doesn't come to you naturally. So that's the beauty of emotional intelligence, that when we make people
Right.
aware of what their strengths are, what they're good at, and also what they're not good at, what are their blind spots, what are the
Mm.
strengths that they don't have, that they are oblivious to,
Right.
then empathy kicks in. So if
Right.
I'm not resilient, but you are, but I know that I'm not resilient and you are, I'll be more empathetic towards your strengths
Got
and
it.
my blind spots, and vice versa. So
Right.
this is this foundational point on which we work on when we make people, and it's very, very deep, intense work.
Mm.
So when people get all of this awareness of what they're good at, what they're not so good at, how they communicate, and then NLP comes in. So NLP is all about communication, internal state, limiting beliefs, fears, how to
Right.
really change how you feel from the inside. So let me give you another example. A lot of work that I do taps into the subconscious minds of people, which
Mm-hmm.
is where most of the decisions happen, right? So
Right.
90% of our decisions
Yeah.
are taken from our subconscious mind. So
Yeah.
we work on a lot of positive psychology and positive psychology visualizations, where we tell people to, let's say, close their eyes and imagine they're at a certain place, and
Mm.
we walk them through a certain scenario. So they stop thinking from their active conscious mind and they tap into their subconscious and they get the answers from there, because they're
Mm.
not thinking and saying, they're seeing and showing. And there's a difference. And
Right.
when you make them experience that, a lot of that purpose and what's my life mission and vision and goal, and what's the legacy I want to leave behind in this world, what's the impact that I want to make, comes from there. Because it's all here,
It's the
it's all stored here.
visualization.
It's
Yeah.
just, for sure, it's about tapping and having access to that.
So that's great. I mean, that's a great technique that you guys use, and it's something I think individuals who are watching this particular episode, you guys can even do. For example, right? Like you guys can focus on like visualizing what is that life that you want to live, what is that purpose
Mhm.
that you want to visualize yourself in like a future state of how you want to see yourself 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and it will help you um, unlock and discover your own self a little bit more. It's not going to happen
Hmm.
in one night, and this is what I keep telling everyone that even I work with. It's not like you will do this tonight and tomorrow morning you will wake up and be awakened, right? Like yeah, naturally you will be awakened, but not in the other sense. You will not be awakened. It takes a lot of time. Samia, how long does this process usually take? You're a certified coach. How, on average, just so that our audience have an understanding and a benchmark to say be like, okay,
Hmm.
this is how much time I need to invest to set realistic expectations.
Sure, sure. So it depends again from person to person because everybody's progress is different, their
Yeah.
goals are different, their mission, whatever they set out to is different. And sometimes people become aware by the end of it on what is the kind of career change they want to make. But let's say in the real world, they are not
Hmm.
equipped to make that, right? Yet
Right.
they don't maybe have the financial resources or whatever logistical reasons they might have. In terms of process, the 10 to 12 sessions that we have with people
Hmm.
take anywhere from 2 to 3 months.
Two to
And
three months.
there's a reason that you need to invest that much time because like you rightly said, change doesn't happen overnight. So for you to
Absolutely.
have
Absolutely.
any kind of transformation, like let's say we have only one session per week, we keep 1 week gap between sessions because we want to allow people to have the time to sleep over it, to digest it, to absorb it, to work on next steps and action items from our work. And the progress is always slow and gradual.